Undertale is an exceptional game. It's frequently applauded for many aspects of its design. It really has a lot to love. But in this video, I'd like to praise an aspect of the game that gets commonly overlooked. I'd like to explain how Undertale's combat mechanics convey information, story, and intrinsic humour better than most games out there. Game mechanics have an inherent symbolism to them. They articulate ideas and shape an experience. Mechanics tell you what is and isn't possible, what's good and what's bad, and inform the player on the ideas and themes of each universe they inhabit. As well as this, these mechanical systems are often an abstraction of some concept. In Final Fantasy Tactics, the characters don't actually pause for seconds at a time to scroll through menus. In the universe of the game, these menus and grids don't exist. This functionality is in service to the player and allows them a greater degree of control and strategic depth, while also making you feel like a tactician, surveying your battles from a raised view. Ludo-narrative dissonance was a concept talked about a lot several years back, particularly when the Tomb Raider reboot released in 2013. Ludo-narrative dissonance refers to any disconnect between the narrative and the gameplay actions of the player. In Tomb Raider, this manifested itself in Lara's intense shock and panic when she kills someone in a cutscene, contrasting with her ruthlessly cutting through dozens of enemies without a second thought during gameplay. The disgust of cutscene Lara didn't match gameplay Lara, and that created a disconnect for a lot of people. The combat mechanics had Lara be a cold-hearted killing machine, but the narrative portrayed outside of gameplay sought to show the opposite, and the game's story suffered as a result. I feel Undertale takes this concept to the opposite extreme of this dissonance, that of ludonarrative resonance. Most games feature mechanics and systems that merely support the game, like Final Fantasy Tactics as explained earlier, and for the most part, that's all that's required for a game to succeed. But only a minute few games marry their systems to the game's ideas, concepts, and themes as wholly as Undertale does. Anyways, in Undertale, every instance of combat is divided up into two options. You can either fight and aim to kill, or you can play the pacifist, sparing your opponents and showing mercy. The battle screen reflects this, with a fight button, an act button, an item button, and a mercy button. Whichever option is chosen, they get to retaliate in a bullet hell style dodge sequence. Each character's bullet hell segments are unique and context specific. The fight button is pretty straightforward. You make an attack against your opponent seeking to whittle down their health. The act command allows for a range of options based on the target, but essentially your goal here is to attempt to talk, act, or otherwise bring yourself out of combat, sparing the combatant in the process. Only once your opponent has been adequately pacified can you utilize the mercy command and remove them from combat non-violently. It's a brilliant little system, and the game uses it to full effect. In fact, the entire game is built around the idea of alternative playthroughs with genocide and pacifist runs. Papyrus is a silly skeleton character that tries to capture you early in the game. His first few dodge segments are stupidly easy, as your heart hitbox can move around freely while his bone tracks along the base of the arena. Eventually, he remarks on whether you'll be able to handle his fabled blue attack. For context, blue objects in the dodge segments thus far have represented obstacles that won't harm you if you remain stationary. Watch how this plays out. Pretty wacky, huh? Throughout this battle, he talks up the power and impressiveness of his special bone attack. Right before you best him, he shows off his special move. This is such a hilarious moment. It plays on your expectations as a player to great effect, and really captures the boisterous nature of Papyrus. Undertale really gets the comedic timing down, and articulates so much about this character in the process. Every character's combat encounters have these unique moments, but it's not just the game's humour that benefits from its brilliantly coherent mechanical play. Asgore is the game's final boss. During the introduction to the battle, Asgore destroys the mercy option on your battle menu. At first, this might be seen as an intimidating gesture, in that he won't let you leave alive, but the real symbolism of Asgore shattering your option for mercy is really about denying himself any hint of mercy at your hands. He knows the significance of the moment, and he knows he would succumb to your mercy to the detriment of his people and his society. And so he breaks your option to show him mercy and removes any chance for himself of being spared. It's such a powerful moment because it messes with the existing systems that have been put in place. Asgore tells us about how important this confrontation is for all involved, but when the gameplay shows us is when the power of that moment is really felt. This playful shifting of the game's systems is used to great effect in Undertale. It shows you things that can't or shouldn't be shared in text boxes and cutscenes. It gives you the details as part of the experience, not fracturing the game between story and gameplay as many other games do. And that's the beauty of telling story through a game's systems. Undertale is positively filled to the brim with these little mechanical and gameplay flourishes that accentuate the narrative. Just like how the game's soundtrack is filled with little musical leitmotifs to capture and connect themes at specific moments in the game's plot, so too do these mechanical moments. They're a powerful tool when used skillfully and raise an already terrific game to new heights. And that's why I'd hold up Undertale as a champion of ludonarrative resonance. Undertale provides a great example of that mix of covert gameplay symbolism and narrative that makes this medium truly unique. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed and have a fantastic day.